And now we're back. We're really back. For real.
Really
back.
Really.
Before we thought we were back, but now we're really back. So here we are.
Really.
Welcome back. Okay. So Marvin, before we took the break, I asked you to think about who your ideal, ordinary person would be. Tell me, who's your ideal helper, I guess. Is that a right word to say? The person that can, help, person.
Is he a Santa now? He is Santa.
Hello, Santa Marvin.
Hey, I'll take some helpers.
Investor.
Absolutely.
Investors?
Who would be your go-to person?
So we have, as we've looked at the South Vine development again, it said it's a $284 million development project, but there are individual projects that range from $25 million on the low end up to about $40 million on the high end. So there are some private equity funds that we have approached but we also like to look at just your average retiree or your average blue collar worker or entrepreneur who has $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 and says, "Hey, I want in," and we allow them to gain some ownership in the project, sort of like a crowdfunding.
Right. So I'm like, why aren't we doing GoFundMe? Why aren't we doing that? I'm serious. You guys laugh, but why aren't we?
Well, I have a project coming up too, and
yeah.
And I'm not a big
GoFundMe
developer or anything like that, so it's really.
I mean, there's lots of people who are going to hear this.
There are lots of opportunities.
What's interesting is we are getting ready to put one of our projects on Fundrise. So Fundrise is a real estate crowdfunding resource, and I learned about it just being on Facebook. And so we are going to target that. But the other thing is, typically when you look at the larger developments, the first thing you think is, I don't have $1 million.
Right. I hear development and I hear cha-ching.
Yeah.
I mean,
you think I don't have the cash. We want to make it where the community, where people have ownership. If people have ownership, I think people will take care of it.
Yes, they will.
But if all you're put into is a position of renting and not really owning, not having any real stakes in the ground,
that's right.
Then why should you care about taking care of whatever it is? Now, granted, the person that I was raised to be says take care of any and everything that you're part of.
Of course.
But you have more ownership when you have something invested in.
We want to
make sure that the average person can be involved and have real ownership. Now, it may not mean they're going to make $1 million off the investment,
sure,
but they'll make something proportionate to what their investment is.
And don't you agree that there's a pride there? There's a sense. I mean, with ownership, it's not even if they only had $500 or $1,000 to put in.
Give me your $500, Christine.
I mean, but it's that sense of ownership to say, "Hey, I was part of this." It's the bigger picture. So I love that.
And when you look at the African American community, particularly from 18th Street to let's say 47th Street, from Truce to Van Brunt, you have a large number of renters. You also have a large number of absentee landlords. You have a dilapidated housing stock. Okay. You have a lot of vacant land. You have a lot of homes that now the city is saying, "Hey, we need to get these homes back on the tax rolls, and we're going to give these homes away for $1. But you have to come with a plan to redevelop this home." My only fear there is that the person who knows nothing about renovating homes or nothing about development doesn't get put in a situation where they take all of their savings, use their money to try and accomplish their dream of home ownership or dream of owning a second home and using it for income property. And then because of all the different nuances of construction and renovation, they end up not being able to complete the project. Sure. And the property goes back to the city, and they're left without whatever
where we started,
monies that they had to start with.
Yeah, understandable. Right. So, Tamika, you were talking a little bit before we took the break, the Urban Land Institute.
Correct. Well, what's interesting is the National Association of Realtors created a recent course called Discovering Commercial Real Estate, and that's focused on the realtor to help them get, just involved in understanding more about commercial development and properties. And so we have that course coming up, and that course will talk to them about Urban Land Institute. Marvin mentioned CCIM, which is a designation for commercial folks. So that course is coming up. And so when you ask, like, how did I get involved? What did I learn? This is an intro course that covers all of the associations and all of the companies and everything that a person needs to be able to feel comfortable going in and partnering with someone, or at least looking at doing anything on the commercial side of the business.
Gotcha.
And we leave a lot of money on the table as real estate professionals, just because we're in fear of, or someone has told us, oh, you can't do commercial.
That's right.
Right? Isn't that what
It's
you were
very true,
told?
yes.
And there's so
It's
many
one or the other,
aspects
right.
of commercial real estate that you can get in and not need a license. You could do lease of space and all those kinds of things. And so I'm excited to bring the course again to Kansas City. And actually, I'm
Awesome.
teaching around the country that information because it was invaluable to me.
Right.
Just being able to sit here now, looking back at 10 years ago when I did my first, new construction development.
Right.
Thanks to
it's much
working with
needed
them.
too in our industry. I mean, just so we have that area of. So Marvin, you have really opened my eyes to a whole nother side of our industry. Honestly, I didn't know even existed. And I want people to know how to get a hold of you, because we're going to put your information on our Facebook page. And the site that you were talking about to fund, is that a link? Is that already active where we could put that on our site to help
So
facilitate that? Or
So we have not set up our Fundrise page yet, but Fundrise is active.
Okay.
But we're not active on it just yet.
So
Okay.
we'll add that when you guys
right.
get active.
When you're active, let us know. Send us the link, post it on our Facebook page, because we want to help you guys with that. I mean, that's an
how do
awesome
they find
opportunity.
you?
Yeah, let's hear about your information.
So how did they find me? Meaning BU?
No, even Marvin
Whoever
Lyman.
you want them
That's
to
right.
call.
Oh,
People
how
are
do
listening.
people find me?
Marvin, that's
Oh, okay.
right.
Someone's going to say, I have $50,000 and
Right.
I want to invest. How do they find
It's
you?
Christy at
Well,
ChristyPorter.com. No.
don't listen. It's Marvin Lyman, MarvinLyman. No, you can reach me at Marvin, Marvin, at beukc.org. That is my email. Or you can give us a call at 816-474-1080.
Okay, very good. And we'll put that on there. So, do we have time for a fun story? Really short, fun story. Do you have any fun, exciting stories for us, Marvin?
Fun, exciting stories.
Well, I
You
have
would put
one.
me on.
I have one for Marvin.
Has to be real quick.
I
Okay.
read his book, and he
You
has
have a book?
He has a book.
Sure.
What's the name of your book?
He has a book.
Solving for X, Finding the Man Within. That's on Amazon.com.
Right. So I
That
read
kind of would've been important,
I read this
yeah.
book.
And we
I read
also have
this book.
author Marvin Lyman with us today. Sorry, that would have been right.
Well, in my former life, I was a teacher, a restaurateur, and also taught radio production to
Yeah.
8th graders.
Yeah. So I read his book, and really quick, I was on the edge of my seat, like every page. And I kept saying, well, when I first picked up, okay, yeah, I'll read it, and then I'll tell him I read it. And so,
Right.
And so then from there, I couldn't put it down. And it was like, and then someone moved my book, and I tore up the whole house. And then my husband had picked it up. So then I had to go get another book. So I did want to, I knew we only had a short period of time, but I did want to tell you that was an awesome read.
Thank
and
you.
when is the next one coming out? Well, you don't have to tell me, because then I'll keep asking you about it.
Right.
So
Thank you so much for joining us today, Marvin. I really enjoyed having you on the show, and I hope you had as much fun as we did.
I did. Thank you for having me. And
Okay.
we invite you to BU anytime you get ready, 1601 East 18th Street,
Okay.
at the historic Lincoln Building at 18th and Vine.
Okay, awesome. Well, it's been a great show, Tamika.
absolutely.
And we're going to have this information about Marvin on our Facebook page. And as always, you're listening on Smart Companies Thinking Bigger Radio and watching on TV25. Make it a great week.